Hello, my name is Caitlin Grimes, and I will be presenting on the social learning theory of gender development and my research of that theory. To introduce this presentation, I will be defining social learning theory of gender development. I'll be summarizing the three research articles that I used in the essay, explaining the relevance and importance of researching social learning theory, why I chose social learning theory and what I found interesting about that theory, and my pre-existing beliefs. So social learning theory is a psychological theory that emphasizes the importance of intergenerational interactions and social factors. Social learning theory explains behavior by direct and indirect reinforcement through watching and mirroring others. Individuals learn to be masculine and feminine by copying the people that surround them and copying the media as well. Children not only imitate the communication from the media that they consume, but also the conversations from the people around them. The first article that I used was wanting to understand the effects of superheroes and imaginative superhero play during childhood on the self-esteem of young adult men. The method of this study was having college-age men right out of high school, straight into college. They were asked to participate in this study, and they were asked to fill out a survey about their experiences with superheroes during their childhoods. They were asked which superhero they favored, which ones they watched growing up, and who they played with. The results of this study found that young men's recollections of childhood, wishful identification, which is wishing that you were that superhero, so really wishing and idolizing Superman, really wishing you were Spider-Man, stuff like that. That wishful identification really impacted their current ideas of male appearance, impacted how they viewed their appearance, and was seen as an approval of traditional masculinity ideals. The second article I used, the objective of it was to understand how the existence of Disney princesses had the effect of Disney princesses on young girls and how it can influence the development of gender roles, gender stereotypical behavior, and body esteem in preschool and kindergarten age children, and how the effects of Disney princesses can be later in life. The participants in this study were preschool age children, their parents, and their teachers. They were, like I said before, recruited from kindergartens and preschools in 4 different areas. And this study occurred in 2 different phases. So the first phase, the children were tested in a quiet room separate from their peers during regular school hours, with their teacher filing out questionnaires after they observed the students in the quiet rooms after school regular hours. And then a year after the first phase, the children's parents were asked to fill out questionnaires that asked which Disney princess their child most identified with, how often their child played with Disney princess toys, and how frequently their child watched TV or movies with Disney princesses as characters. And the result of this study found that girls were more likely to embrace traditional feminine ideas and stereotypes when they grew up with Disney princesses. Exposure to Disney princess media and consumption of the Disney princess culture in early childhood leads to the development of higher quantities of stereotypical feminine behavior later in life, so becoming the girly girl. The third article I used wanted to explore the influences of commercials on children's perception of gender and how they perceive gender roles and stereotypes. The method used for this study was first and second grade age students, so 28 boys, 34 girls, from an upper middle class suburb. The The students were exposed to one of three commercial videotapes in which either all boys, traditional condition, or all girls were playing with a toy. The results of this found that how gender is portrayed in commercials has an impact on how children decide to play with toys and which toys they will be playing with. So the influencing a young boy to play with Nerf guns because they saw only boys playing with Nerf guns in those commercials. So the relevance and importance of researching social learning theory helps us understand how gender develops in children and later in life as an adult, theorizes how the surrounding of a child can affect their gender development, and social learning theory shows how influential even the smallest things can be on the development of gender, like we see with these 3 articles that I used. Just the influence of having superheroes in the life of a young boy can make a difference when they're older. Playing with Disney princesses as a young girl can have an impact when you're older. That might not seem like a big deal, but those things matter. So why I chose social learning theory, I really wanted to understand how it can unfold in real world applications. And when I began to research these various learning theories and looking for different articles, I found that I was drawn to the studies that were using social learning theory, like the Superman study, the first one, and the Disney Princess one. I wanted to see how it unfolded, and I wanted to see the outcome and the results of those research. And I wanted to better understand how the media can affect children and their perceptions of gender. I grew up, I played with Disney princesses and I played with Barbies, and I think that definitely has an influence on how I perceive my own gender. And I really wanted to see how social learning theory could be applied to academic studies and research. And I think the articles that I used really helped me understand social learning theory a little bit better, and they were very interesting to see the outcomes. So what I found interesting with this theory is that it could be used in many different facets and is very versatile. Like I said with my 3 articles, I found one that's specifically boy, superheroes are thought of to be a quote unquote boy hobby or liking, even though that's really not true. Girls can be superheroes and have superhero, influences, and same with the Disney princess, that's stereotypical girl hobby or thing that they like, but young boys can like Disney princess too, but how those 2 different things can really affect the perceptions of gender, I really wanted to understand. I thought it was interesting how influential those things can be on gender development and development in general. And it taught me that children are way more perceptive than we give them credit for, and that they learn from anything and everything that surrounds them, even though it might not seem as big when you're, growing up. It really makes a difference as you get older. So my pre-existing beliefs aligned with social learning theory. I had an idea that what surrounds you can influence how you perceive yourself and how you develop. I was able to see my beliefs applied in the results of each study and learn more about the theory through the research, and I was able to see the real world applications and how it can be applied to research. And I had my own ideas how the studies would end. They pretty much aligned with the hypotheses of each study. And I believe that overtly gendered media has lasting effects on how gender is developed and perceived. And with researching these social learning theory, I was able to see that applied throughout these 3 different research articles. Yeah, but that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.